A great camera isn't just a tool, it's a storyteller. A great camera should disappear in your hands, letting you focus on the frame, the light, and the moment. A great camera should be fast when you need it, and reliable no matter what. So in today's video, I want to break down why the FX3 isn't just a great camera, it's the camera for filmmakers of all skill levels, and why so many professionals swear by it, including me. But would I even consider myself a professional? I don't know. A great camera doesn't get in the way. It brings your vision to life. All right, so hello, hi. How's everybody doing today? It's of course your boy Volandis back with another video. And before I get this video started, I just want to say happy Black History Month. I know we're already a couple days into it, but take this time out in this month to learn something new and appreciate it. I also want to take this time out to say that not only did I get my first haircut since getting chemo treatment and going through all the cancer stuff, but this is my first haircut in like 15 years. So I'm super excited, super happy. You know, your boy looking fly, your boy looking good, looking fresh, you feel me? So, you know what I'm saying? I just want to take this time out to appreciate myself, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Your boy hit rock bottom, but I'm back up at the top, you feel me? So yeah, feeling good, looking good. But in all seriousness though, in today's video, we're going to be talking about what I think is the best camera for filmmaking of all time and why I have those opinions. Now, when it comes to gear and the opinions surrounding gear, there's clearly going to be a lot of different opinions, which is okay. All of this is subjective. There's going to be a lot of people who believe certain things are better or worse than the next thing because of their own personal opinions. And I say all of that because a lot of people take my titles very, very seriously, but this is just my personal opinion. I kind of just wanted to make a review video on a camera that I really, really like. And that camera is the Sony FX3. So yeah, the Sony FX3, a camera that I acquired about 3 years ago and I've been shooting with ever since. I was lucky enough to get this camera from Sony themselves, but I never made a video about it. I've just been shooting with it and shooting everything with it ever since, from music videos to short films to documentary stuff to little vlogs around the house to travel I think I've shot quite literally everything you could possibly shoot except like a feature film with this camera. And if you're familiar with my videos, you know that when I talk about gear, I don't usually like to talk about specs, because to me all those specs are very important, and it's some of the reasons why, you know, filmmakers, including myself, love these cameras, especially the FX3. I feel like there's a lot of other things that factor into what makes a good video or a good photo outside of the gear you're using, because a lot of people use gear that isn't the best or top quality and they make very good stuff. But we all know that. But at the same time, we all know that gear matters to a certain extent, and the specs of that gear matter to a certain extent. I mean, I guess I could talk about how it has a 10.2 full frame backside illuminated CMOS sensor, or how it has a dual ISO of 812,800 for low light shooting, how it has no recording limits, a built-in fan, a dual CF Express Type A SD slots, how it has an XLR top handle so you can have XLR sound and all that stuff. Or I could talk about how it records 4K up to 120 frames per second. It has 10-bit 422 internal recording, 16-bit RAW if you're using a HDMI, or how it has fast and reliable autofocus. But then that wouldn't be interesting and fun, or the things that I want to talk about. Plus, there's a plethora of other people on this app who talk about those things a lot better than I can. Also, I just genuinely don't really care. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's great to know the specs, but outside of that, I don't really care. So yeah, let's talk about the FX3. So one of the biggest reasons why I love the Sony FX3 is because it gets out of the way. It gets you out of your own way. You shouldn't have to be fighting with the menus to find something or having trouble to set the camera up. For me personally, and how I like to shoot, I'm on the go. I like to change things quickly. I also do a lot of work by myself, and I feel like the FX3 is the perfect camera for that type of style of shooting. And I think that even if you're a pro, a seasoned filmmaker, or just even getting into filmmaking, the FX3 lets you think less about technical stuff and more about what's in front of the lens, which is, in my opinion, more important than anything. I also love the E-mount. You can do so many different things with the E-mount. I use EF glass, I've used PL mounts, I've used all different styles of glass on this camera, so you can use almost any lens ever for for this camera and these style of cameras. I also love the form factor and how small the FX3 is. I've taken this camera with me into many different places that I technically wasn't supposed to have this camera, and I've gotten away with shooting some stuff and getting some shots that I normally probably wouldn't get with a bigger camera, because this camera is slightly indiscreet and doesn't like cause or draw too much attention to itself. Like, I've taken it to restaurants, I've into gas stations and stores and all type of other places that I necessarily probably wouldn't be able to bring in a big ARRI or a big Red or something like that. So it's kind of indiscreet, and also when people do see it, it's not like this big camera that is really intimidating, so a lot of people don't necessarily even care. I also love how this camera looks. I like that it's like just a box, and it's like a camera that looks like it's for filmmaking. It doesn't really even have any photo settings. It's just a cinema camera, which I love, so you can just focus on filmmaking and not focus on 100 different things within the same camera, because sometimes that can get a little bit confusing and just a little bit distracting, in my opinion. I also love that it comes with all the tally lights, so you never really forget if you're recording or not. I can't tell you how many times, even this camera right here that I'm filming on, the Sony a7S III, doesn't have any tally lights. I have to look at the screen to make sure it's still recording, where I'm so used to just looking at all the lights on the FX3 and seeing that it's recording at all times, which I love. It's also very lightweight because of its form factor, so I've been able to mount this camera and take it into places like the shower, mount it on my car, and take it into places, put it inside a bag. I don't necessarily need to carry a big case or anything when I'm carrying this camera. If you know me, you know that I don't treat my gear bad, but I treat it like how it should be treated. I throw it into bags, I throw it into like the back seat. I take it into places that put it in things that you necessarily probably wouldn't, but I do that because I always try to maximize my shooting abilities and just the things that I can shoot when I'm using this camera. So it is very good for that. It's also very tough and rugged. I've dropped it off my car. I've dropped it many times. It still works perfectly fine. It's a beast of a camera and is still in great condition. It's what a camera should be, and I put my camera as what I think cameras should go through if you're going to get the shots and the things that you want to get out of filmmaking. Also, filmmaking isn't in a controlled studio environment 24/7. Like, sometimes you're chasing golden hour or just filming in unpredictable situations and environments. And I think that the FX3 was designed with that in mind. It's built to handle heat, long recording times, and all different type of environment conditions without shutting down or making you worry. Also, if you're familiar with my work, you know that I do a lot of these videos completely by myself. Actually, I do all of these videos completely by myself. I think the only videos I've actually ever even had help with was the ones about my chemo treatment, and that was because I just physically couldn't do it myself, or unless I would have. I think it's just one of those rare cameras that works just amazing for solo filmmaking, as it does for a full production team as well. If you're working alone, it's small enough to carry everywhere, easy to operate, has built-in tools to help you nail exposure and focus without needing a crew. But if you do have a crew, this camera scales up beautifully. You can rig it up, add external monitors, time code sync it with other cameras, and turn it into a full cinema setup. It's truly just a camera that, in my opinion, grows with you in what you're doing. Some of your favorite filmmakers and vloggers or full content creators use the FX3. It's truly a camera for everyone, but it's also becoming more popular in Hollywood as well, and has been used on some pretty significant shoots in Hollywood. So it's not just a camera for indie filmmakers. It's being used for productions from documentaries to feature films. It's trusted by professionals, and it's still approachable for beginners, which is, I think, amazing that it's an all-around camera for everyone, which is rare because I feel like most real cinema cameras are intimidating. Like, if you ever used an ARRI or used a Red camera, those cameras, if you have never dealt with them at all, can be very, very, very intimidating. Even if you know and have handled a Sony camera or a Canon camera for a long time, looking at those cameras, it's like, what am I doing sometimes? But that's because some of those cameras were set up and made for different type of shooting and different type of filmmakers, where I feel like the Sony FX3 had everybody in mind. So yeah, these are the reasons why I love the Sony FX3. And when you think about the best equipment and gear, you don't necessarily think about the specs or what it can do. It's the one that gives you a certain feeling and lets you create stuff that you're proud of. So yeah, that's the FX3. I've had this camera for a long time and I never made a video about it. I think it's good that I've waited up until now to even make a video on this camera, because it's given me time to go out and use it, make things that I'm proud of with it, make things that I'm not proud of with it, take it into different places, taking it around and doing different things, dropping it, and just really getting the most out of this camera before I sat down and gave my opinion and talked about it. Because I mean, I guess I also could have done that. I known from a long time that this camera was amazing, but it's good that I got out and I was able to use it and, use it to its full capabilities before I sat down and talked about it. I've used it with different lenses. I've used it in different lighting situations. I've used it in the water. I've used it in the hot sun and the cold -degree temperatures. Like I said, mounted it to a car, put it in the shower. I've done so many things with this camera. I feel like every single thing that I can think of doing with this camera, I've done, and everything that I haven't done yet is probably going to get done at some point. I feel like I'm trustworthy. I trust this camera to be able to handle all of those things no matter what. So yeah, great camera, amazing camera. Ask your favorite creator. They probably use the camera too. You know what this camera's about. If you know filmmaking, you know what the FX3 is about. I think the only things that I probably would enjoy this camera having is built-in ND filters. I personally hate the screw-on ND filters that I've been using, especially for like the run and gun stuff, and always like having to change it onto another lens and all that other stuff. But I guess with that it comes different stuff, because the FX6 has built-in ND filters, right? But then you get a bigger camera and you lose the form factor. You lose a lot of stuff that you have with the FX3, but then you gain ND filters and some other stuff with the FX. You know what I'm saying? It's a give and take situation. So you got to figure out what you can and can't live without, I guess. So for me, I can live without NDs. I can live without certain stuff. So the FX3 is for me. But anyway, yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, I'm not talking to you because you already did what you had to do. I am trying to hit 500K before my birthday, which is in May. So please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, let's get to it. Please like and share the video, all that stuff that they tell you to do in these videos, man. It would truly, gratefully be appreciated. I love you guys, man. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. But for me, I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna do some shit. You know the vibes, man. Let's get it.